Hey everyone, welcome to our new show 3 at 3 on solar PV. I'm Jennifer Runyon, Chief Editor of Renewable Energy World.
And I'm Paula Mintz, Chief Market Research Analyst with SPV Market Research.
Okay, we're going to take 3 hot topics in the solar industry and discuss each one of them for 3 minutes. 3 topics.
And we might argue.
We might argue. We'll shoot our video at 3 p.m. Eastern and post it at 3 p.m. Pacific. All right, today's topics: New York's new RPS, Intersolar, what's new, and the Tesla Solar City merger. All right, New York's RPS, they said 50% renewables by 2030. Paula, how great is this?
All right for catching the wave. I mean, California, other states, just too many to name right now. But there really is a wave. There's also states pushing back, but there's a wave of more and more and more and more renewables. So, all right, that's the right direction. Devil's always in the little pesky details. But in the case of New York, I believe I read that the governor expects a significant portion of this sort of clean energy standard to be made up with nuclear. Well, I recall, and I may be incorrect, and I'm sure you'll correct me if I am, that he stated that they couldn't do it without nuclear. So that's of concern to me because I do not consider nuclear clean, and the reason is waste.
Yeah. Well, he did. They are looking for qualified nuclear facilities. I don't know what that means. But they did create this zero emission credit, which will go towards that RPS. But I don't know how much. I mean, to me, the bottom line is 50% renewables by 2030. That's pretty aggressive, and it does say renewables. I mean,
that's that. But if you consider nuclear renewable, I think that's a fuzzy line. To me, that's a fuzzy line.
Well, I agree, and I don't know if they are. That's what I'm saying.
And if I recall from another article, and this just popped into my head because I read this earlier today, that nuclear will receive significant subsidies in order to help them achieve their goal. That's a problem for me because in the PV industry, which is, my heart and soul is in solar, always, always, always. Also with people, but in solar and animals. But if you think about how hard we fight and how many hits this industry takes for having subsidies and having incentives, and how conventional energy is, their subsidies and incentives are ignored, it seems a little, all right, let's have some more subsidies for PV, for wind, I'm not sure, I'm not fond of biomass either, so I'm not going to throw them in there, but you get my drift. Okay, so after all these years of watching the solar industry be buffeted by arguments against subsidies and incentives, great, provide the subsidies and incentives, mostly to wind and PV.
Yeah, right. So, well, I mean, as we talked about before, we are going to have to wait and see a little bit on this because the announcement was just made yesterday. We don't know what the specifics will be. To me, New York is being pretty progressive. They've got their their program, they're renewing the energy vision. And so, I think it's good news.
I think that anytime you have fewer fossil fuels and more renewables, it's good news. But to me, nuclear is not renewable. And as long as that, I'd like to see it out of the mix.
Yeah. All right. Next topic. Intersolar takeaways. What's new? Okay, here's what I saw that I thought was new at Intersolar. I found these multiple people developing software that would really give homeowners and businesses, really mostly what I was noticing more was homeowners, real control of their energy use. And I think this is what the solar industry has been warning utilities about for a long time. Did you see any of that?
Well, yeah, of course, but I don't think that's new. I know that there have been, Apple, other companies have been developing, the software for the devices, apps, etc., to monitor our usage of everything for a very long time. Mm-hmm. So it's finally making its way. I mean, monitoring of systems. There's, 2 years ago when I did a big consumer study, there apps for monitoring your system. The problem is, so I will. is these things do tend to be, you're going to have some people that will really benefit from it. But for the most part, I don't know how useful it's really going to end up being at the end of the day. I mean, it'd be kind of fun to look at this stuff, but at the end of the day, will it really end up being useful?
Yeah. Useful in terms of what? What do you mean useful?
I think they'll stop using it. I was trying to dance around because in the big consumer study I did, everybody said they had an app to monitor their system. And how did they monitor their system when another question was asked? They looked at their electricity bill. So the thing is usability. How many times have you downloaded an app and it's been really cool, and then in a month it's you're no longer really looking at the
Absolutely.
app.
Totally agree.
So I think it's great. I think it's not that innovative, and there's a lot of me too out there. And
I did see that. Right, I did see that. I saw a lot of companies creating software to manage storage on the grid. And this company has their software package, and this company has their software package, and this company makes just the software, and they can work with anybody's battery. And to me, that was also an interesting takeaway because, I mean, at least as far as I can tell, those companies can't all survive out there.
Of
but
course
maybe
not.
they can.
I mean,
maybe they
this
can.
is going to really date me, but I do remember the .com crash, and I remember the sock puppet with some pet food store.
Totally.
I thought the sock puppet was so cute, right? But boom, that company did not make it. Big deal. There's all these companies doing the same thing, but so maybe that's actually an interesting topic to bring up, because when an industry starts to get a lot of attention, you notice that everybody in the world has something they want to sell to it or sell into it. So that's potentially, for me, more an indicator of the fact that people think we're actually serious now as an industry, the solar industry.
All right.
But as to takeaways from the conference, I saw the usual lot of storage sessions. Half the conference is storage sessions, and with not entirely useful information coming out of them, but that's what people want. They want to go to the storage sessions and learn what? I'm not sure they're learning that much. And the usual, they do a good job of off-grid at Intersolar, which I don't think a lot of conferences do anymore. Yeah. And they had some focus on desalination, which you really don't find that at a lot of conferences, and that's an important topic. Yeah. Desalination, water, important topic, particularly in drought-prone California where I am. Yeah. Other topics, as I did things that are emerging, and this has been emerging for some time, is the sort of battle between utility scale and DG, which I actually think is a thing.
That's a big thing. That's a huge thing. We're going to do that next time, because we have to move on to our last topic, which is Tesla Solar City. Tesla Solar City. Okay, so two giant companies merging, or one's technically buying the other, but they're kind of the same company to begin with. What do you think about this?
Well, I see it as two big unprofitable mountains of debt merging to make one big unprofitable mountain of debt is what I really see.
Yeah, so
I don't see the synergies. I did write an article for you guys on this, and it's very hard to find a real synergy there, other than the fact that essentially there's a familial link.
Okay, well, right, but so eventually Solar City thinks it's going to be selling the Tesla Powerwalls along with its solar systems into homes across the U.S., and they're not anywhere outside of the U.S. yet, but they would, I'm sure, like to be. Where, you don't think that's a thing? That's not possible?
Well, anything's possible. Market research, actually, I keep saying this and people are bored by it, is more about the past than the future. It's about establishing trends over time and looking at behavior, blah, blah, blah. Understanding technology. It really depends. Storage has a value. In South Africa, a whole separate problem we need to talk about on another day when we talk about emerging markets. Yeah. there's a value for storage because the grid is really unreliable. In India, the grid is unreliable. If you're out of power for 5 hours a day sometimes, or 10 hours a week, you really do need storage. It has a value to you. In the U.S., we don't have an unreliable grid. How much value is there? But back to the real metrics here, Solar City loses money. Tesla loses money. I mean, there are business fundamentals here aside from the lovely vision of the future. And those business fundamentals don't look good. High debt. I mean, these companies are mostly debt. And you just created a huge, big mountain of debt that if you look at their stock price, a lot of people have some concerns about. Now, as to stock price, that's really market behavior, people making a decision as individually as a group, and then the group gets negative, then the stock goes down, then somebody goes, ooh, I'm going to buy this, the stock goes up. So that's not a fact. That's the only fact there is their shares have decreased in value. Right. But is an indicator that other people also do not see the synergies. But as you know, you can look at, the online media and the print media every day, and there's this is a wonderful idea, and then there's another article. So in my opinion, and just looking at the business metrics, I don't see that this is I have concerns, and on the other hand, I don't see the synergy. I don't think there's going to be a power wall on every person's garage or wherever they're going to install it in the United States. And it's too expensive. We don't have an unreliable grid. That even Solar City has been dancing away from the residential model because they're losing money. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Where are the synergies? I do think that Solar City is the weaker of the two, and it received a lifeline. That's what I think.
Okay. That's 3 at 3 on solar PV.
Woo!
Thanks,
All
Paula.
Right. Talk to you again.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.